there any limit to your ambition?
No.
Or any limit to what you think you can achieve?
No.
Growing up, I always heard the advice, just be yourself. It was a universal statement that could be applied to any scenario if someone needed advice. It's quick, easy, and digestible. But personally, I never liked the statement. Even though it was simple, it was complex. It never resonated with me because I always questioned who I was. Even though I was curious about the nature of my being then, and still am, it made me more introspective than I wanted to be at an early age. Because to be yourself, you must know yourself first. And most people don't know themselves. They only know the perspective they have chosen to identify with. If you ask someone who they are, they would probably respond with their name. They might respond with their occupation, religion, or even a set of characteristics. However, all these things are not absolute truths. Your name, occupation, religion, and personality can all be changed. Therefore, those things do not truly define you unless you allow them to do so. Isn't it funny that most of your quote-unquote identity was given to you with no trial or appeal? They were just given to you at birth. But when you try to change these things about yourself, you are often chastised for it. People will look at you like you have 3 heads for making a choice on something you never agreed to. These are old paradigms that we are slowly releasing as we raise our consciousness. These paradigms are rooted in disempowerment and tribalism. I love basketball, and one of my favorite players of all time is Kevin Durant. He is famously criticized for joining the Golden State Warriors after losing a 3-1 lead to them in the playoffs. Also with them being a 73-9 team, which is the best record for a team in NBA history. After he signed with the team, he went on to win his first and second ring on back-to-back championships. Sports media and fans have criticized the move by denouncing his character as a person and as a player. What the critics do not realize is that they're arguing for the disempowerment of the players. We were taught that what KD did was a soft and weak move. But who said he cannot join that team? Is it a written rule? No. People criticize him for this move because they do not have the courage to do so themselves. When kids pick teams in recess, they get the best team possible, and no one bats an eye. The only time when it is objected is when the other players think it's not fair. But when I hear about someone complaining about something not being fair, I don't hear what they're saying on the surface. I hear someone not confident in the abilities of their team, and more importantly, themselves. Rest in peace to the late great Kobe Bryant. This is what he had to say when asked about the move that KD made to the Warriors.
I would have thought less about myself if I looked at that move and said, that's unfair. If you're a real competitor, you look at that and say, okay, lace them up, let's go. I don't care how many players you have over there, we're still going to take you down.
And this is the same person who was known for their ruthless and confident mindset. So much so that he has coined the phrase Mamba mentality to represent his belief system when it came to approaching sports and overall life. Goes to show why he was so great and dominant in his respective field of play. Even his greatest comrade, the great Shaquille O'Neal, had this to say when it came to super teams and the idea of players linking up together.
If we knew that was acceptable, probably a lot of us would have switched up. If I knew that was acceptable, I would have just went to Chicago. If I knew that was acceptable, I would have went and played with the Spurs. If I knew that was okay, you know what I'm saying? I would have went and played with a team that was almost there, like Utah. I would have went and played in Utah. Like if I knew that was acceptable. We always thought like, nope,
You gotta stay.
you the man, you the guy, you got to get it done. You got to stay, you got to make trades, you got to do this, you can't. And I think he did it before it was acceptable. It's acceptable now. People just, I want to go here, I want to do this, I want to, oh, hey, you play on the team, let's get on this team and create a big three. But again, if I knew that was acceptable, I just went and played with Mike.
When Shaq said that only if you knew it was okay to make this kind of move, what he's referring to is the overall perception and criticism the player would receive if they were to do as such. You see, during his era of play, players were in less positions of power because players had different outlooks on what's possible. They didn't think they could just sign with whatever team they want and do what makes them happy. They felt that being loyal to the team that drafted them or signed them would reap benefits in the long run. But this idea of loyalty was only established to keep the owners in control and keep the players in check. They make you think being loyal is a good thing until you wasted your best years hoping that they would get you some better teammates, or even worse, trading you after your value has diminished. So many players have no championships or less accolades because they were sold on the idea of loyalty and got crossed in the long run. Even today's players still get caught in that old mindset, but they come to realize shortly after that loyalty is a two-way street and their happiness is paramount to what anyone else has to say. Getting back on track to a statement I made earlier, the confidence to make a decision like this is also a very scary one to make, but in the end, it's extremely empowering. This is called leaving the tribe or fleeing the bird's nest. One of our innate senses is to keep ourselves safe. It is necessary for the evolution of our species. We find that belonging to a group or having a place to call home ensures optimal safety because what we cannot do for ourselves, others can, and vice versa. But now if you leave the tribe, if you leave the nest, how will you survive? Where will you sleep tonight? What will you eat? Who's gonna watch your back? How are you protecting yourself? All valid questions, but they're only valid to the disempowered. Many generations ago, when our neighbors were wild animals, it made sense to stay close to home and not leave your tribe. Nowadays, it's just an old paradigm weaponized against the masses to keep them helpless and dependent on others. The ones in power want you to identify with as many things as you can possible, because the more you define who you believe you are, the more limited you become. If I were an automotive designer and a car company told me to sketch their newest car, the possibilities would be endless. If they asked me to sketch an SUV, the possibilities have now decreased. Now, if they want an electric SUV with bulletproof doors, the possibilities have decreased again, and so on and so forth. Given my example, how wouldn't the same apply to you? All these identities give a false perception of self. We are not limited. You are not your name, race, religion, ethnicity, or astrological sign. You are consciousness experiencing life as a human being. You are love personified. That's who you are. These statements, while simple, explain your existence more profoundly than a name ever could. All these things that I stated can be changed. Therefore, it's not the truth. It's not real. Everything that stays the same is real. Everything that changes is not. I'll say it again. Everything that stays the same is real. Everything that changes is not. You need to understand that the world we live in is controlled by the unwritten, the subconscious. Our beliefs shape our reality. The more limited your self-concept is, the more struggle you will experience. The world struggles because the people don't know who they are. The world struggles because the blind leads the blind. The world struggles because we are miseducated. We are not taught to love ourselves unconditionally, to be confident, to be empowered, to be enlightened. Even worse, if you try to do so, them crabs in a bucket will be snapping at your legs, trying to bring you down like their life depends on it. The greatest throughout history have always broken the quote-unquote rules. They've always helped shift the paradigm. They gladly wore the title of black sheep, scapegoat, or enigma. They're only crazy until they're not. Choose to be one of the greats. Do not identify with the limited. Identify with the unlimited. Do not be your perceived self. Be your real self.